Hello and welcome to this week's Motor Week. Coming up on this week's show, it's the pits for touring car driver Matt Neal as he changes a wheel against the clock. Ian Royle raids the bargain bin as he checks out a used Toyota Celica. And stunt driver Terry Grant talks to Richard Hammond about thrills, spills and automobiles.
Talk to Hyundai car company executives about their coupe and they're liable to come over all misty-eyed and emotional because it's the car that not so much made their name as disguised it. It allowed people to buy the thing despite it being a Hyundai. This then, the new coupe, is a very important car for them. They're hoping it'll be another big step towards turning the world into a place full of rabid Hyundai fans. That's a lot to ask of any car. Typically, we've gone for the flagship 2.7 litre V6. That brings you 165 brake horsepower, a top speed of 136 miles an hour, and 0 to 60 achieved in about 8 seconds. Not bad, particularly when you consider pricing. About £18,500. Spend that money on a Toyota Celica, and you'll be lucky to get much above the base version. Pricing for the rest of the range is equally sensible, thank you. For the 1.6 litre S, the intro version, just $14,500, and you'll pay $16,500 for the 2 litre. And it's the 2 litre that's likely to be the big seller for Hyundai. It probably offers the best compromise between performance, price, weight, and, let's be honest, fuel economy. The old coupe was never a bad drive. It was always pretty composed and balanced, perhaps a little bit lacking in oomph and perhaps with rather vague and spongy brakes. This new one though, particularly with the 2.7, has plenty of thrust and plenty of sharp steering. It's actually a really nice coupe to drive fast. The extra weight of the 2.7 litre V6 up front means it can start to push a bit wide if you really press on into the corners. Again, the 2 litre might win out there, being a bit lighter in the nose. With the top spec V6 version, you also get the benefit of a 6-speed gearbox. And it's a peach, very short throw, really nice, clicky, quick, accurate, precise change. Or you can go for an 8-matic automatic version that has apparently been developed in conjunction with Porsche. So there you go, it must be. Longer, wider, and with a choice of 1.6, 2 litre and 2.7 litre V6 engines, it is an entirely new car. Underneath it is the platform from the Elantra. Not a fact you're likely to be boasting about to your mates in the pub, admittedly. By any Hyundai, and you expect it to come with plenty of kit. The coupe is no exception. Even the base 1.6 litre S version comes with a 6-speaker stereo with RDS, of course, air conditioning as standard, electric everything you could possibly want. As soon as you start moving up just one level, you can add to that an electric sunroof, alloy wheels all over the place, even great big 17 inches on the top spec 2.7 litre V6. All of which means plenty of gizmos, and we like that. With the previous coupe from Hyundai, we all said we loved it. And I'm not so sure. I think maybe we were all being nice because it was a Hyundai and we were so pleased that they were making a decent car. This, though, the new coupe, is an entirely different proposition. It raises their game to be truly competitive. It can stand alongside the best from the other manufacturers. Just because it's cheap doesn't mean it's a budget coupe. It just offers value for money, and it is one of the best. This is it then, the pinnacle of motorsport, the Formula One grid. Well, obviously it's not a real F1 grid because we're indoors for a start here at the NEC in Birmingham for the Autosport International Show, and for most of us it's a unique chance to get very close to some seriously exotic kit. One discipline in motorsport that's enjoying a pretty big presence here is rallying, and that's not surprising because it is very much a growing sport in terms of popularity. It's going to be on the telly a lot this year, so it's worth talking about. We're going to meet some of the drivers, and amongst them, Andrea Hall. Hi, Andrea.
Hi there.
Draped upon your car. Now, your history, to introduce you properly, I couldn't remember it. In truth, so I've got it written down here. Now, this is what you've done. You know this, but we don't. 1999 National Formula 2 Rally Champion, 99, 98, 96 National Ladies Rally Champion, 99 National Class A7 Rally Champion. It goes on. 98 Ford Car Rally Series Champion, 98 Ford Car Ladies Champion, 96 World Championship RSC Rally Ladies Champion. So you like it then,
That'll do for
presumably.
starters.
You've decided you like rallying.
Why
is it rallying and not circuit driving for you?
It's a completely different ball game, and we are completely different drivers. You'll find race drivers to rally drivers. You know, rally drivers are very sort of calm and collected, and even though we're going through the forest at maybe 100+ miles an hour. So, and you've got to go through the forest, you know, it's a very narrow track, big drops, things like that, makes it exciting.
So you're calm and collected as opposed to the highly strung circuit drivers that we've got around here?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Prima donnas. Good time to be in rallying, growing
is.
massively in terms of interest, and we all seem to be rally mad. Why has it suddenly caught our imagination?
I think this year is going to be fantastic because we've got more television coverage, and we did last year. We had we had a very good rally championship on the world scene last year, and it really has grown over the last 2 or 3 years. And because of television, more people are getting to know about it.
Great history for you as a driver. I've got to say, woman, obviously in motorsport.
You noticed?
Well, you know, I'm quick like that. In motorsport, it's still very much a male-dominated thing. What's it like to be a female rally driver today?
It's really good, actually. I have to say, with all the blokes around you, and especially, you know, you read out a couple of titles there. You know, when you beat the boys, it's even better. But they're mostly great, and you don't have to be really strong to be a rally driver. You know, you just got to be able to, as it were, have the balls to go out and drive the car fast. So, you know, a lot of women can drive these cars well. It's just a matter of whether they drive them fast enough.
So although it's male-dominated, that's more just because there are more men. It doesn't necessarily mean they're any better.
It's because years and years ago, it was a very men and machines and things like that. But it's not like that anymore, and there are more women coming into it all the time. And, you know,
do you hear that, boys?
Encourage that.
You've got that message. And finally, you're getting into training, so as well as more people becoming interested in it, more people are getting involved in it, you're actually instructing people as well.
Oh, yeah.
Is that not frightening?
It can be, but it depends really, because the speeds we travel at in the forests are fairly high. But when you go to a rally school, we don't have the trees and things. There's a few things to hit, but not the trees. You don't have the big drops, so you can actually let people go almost beyond their ability. So then when they get into the forest, if they were going to go into the forest, then you find that they've already had a few spins, you know, a few moments and things like that, so they actually know what the car's capable of. So from a teaching point of view, most of the time, it's fairly safe.
I feel sorry for driving instructors on the road because it must be quite scary sometimes. Presumably, driving instructing in rally can get very scary.
I would have said it's the other way around, because on a rally track, everybody's going in the same direction, at least, and it's only you're against the clock. Although there's a car in front of you and a car behind you, they are supposedly a minute apart. On the roads, things coming all over the place, people walking about. So no, I would say rally instruction is far safer and a lot easier.
I'm going to take your word for that. Can you turn anybody into a rally driver?
I can, but it depends on how fast they'll be. I can't say how fast they'll be, but you can make anybody a rally driver within, I'd say, about 3 hours.
And finally, this is your car?
I believe so, yeah.
It's nice and pink.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah,
girls'
corporate colours. Yeah, girls' colours. Let's hope we don't have the matching overalls, eh?
Well, that'd be bad. Andrew, thank you very much for talking to us.
Okay, thank you.
There's more Autosport action after the break, and Ian Royle is on the quest for a low-cost quick car.
If you have a modest budget of perhaps £7,000 or £8,000 to spend on a new car, and you want something that looks good, is sporty and also reliable, but you don't want a hot hatchback like a Golf GTI, then perhaps the car for you is a Toyota Celica. Now, amazingly, the Toyota Celica has been around a long time, in fact, since the early 1970s. These shaped cars are the 6th generation models, and although the latest Celicas look and drive superbly, one of those is going to cost you at least 14 grand. But these still look good, and they're a lot cheaper. This 1.8 ST with 35,000 miles on the clock and 97p reg could be yours for 7.5 grand. Okay, inside it's the usual mass of plastic so beloved by Japanese manufacturers. This time it's black instead of the usual grey. But it's a reasonably pleasant cabin to be in. It's quite comfortable and some good sports seats as well. This ST model gets electric windows, electric mirrors, it gets a stereo, doesn't get air conditioning but does get a sunroof. One gripe about the Celica for me is the lack of headroom. It's a little bit cramped and I suspect that drivers over 6 feet tall will certainly find it so. And you do get two little seats in the back there, ideal for the kids on short journeys, but not really for long journeys. The Toyota Celica really is a fun car to drive. You sit quite low, the steering is very positive, and the 5-speed gearbox is slicker than even Bill Clinton. It's got a nice short throw to it and a very positive action too. And although these Celicas are 4 or 5 years old and beginning to show their age a bit, even a tidy car like this is well worth the money. The Celica range is hardly huge, with just 3 coupe models and 1 cabriolet to choose from. You start off with this base 1.8 ST. It's got 114 brake horsepower. Doesn't sound an awful lot for a sports coupe, but at no time does this car feel underpowered. If you want more, you move on to the 2-litre GT, 173 brake horsepower, and it does feel quite a bit quicker. Or if you want even more still, you go for the storming GT4. 4-wheel drive, 240 brake horsepower. It's a car that took the world of rallying by storm back in the mid-1990s and is seriously quick. And if you want a cabriolet, well, there is a Celica cabriolet, but I think it looks ugly and I'd buy something else. Main dealers still carry a few, but you're more likely to find them at specialist performance outlets or for sale privately. And because it's a Toyota, there's not much to go wrong as long as the car's being well looked after. This Celica is the budget version of the range, which ran from 1994 to 1999, so it's M to V reg. Okay, it's not as powerful as the GT models, but it still gets lots of kit. And because it has the smaller engine, if insurance costs worry you, well, this car is only Group 12, and it even gets a decent boot on it. Now, we normally like to point out on used cars that we test what goes wrong with them, or is likely to go wrong with them. So, the Toyota Celica. Well, the things you need to watch out for on the Celica are... well, hardly anything. I mean, it's Japanese, it's reliable. You just need to look after it sensibly, make sure it's properly serviced, check the oil regularly, not that it uses much of that, put some petrol in it, which is quite an important aspect, and this thing will just run and run and run. Toyota have made and continue to make very good sports cars, and the great thing is that after a while they get to seriously cheap money on the used market. 35,000 miles, 7.5 grand, P-Reg 1.8 ST. That's this week's One Careful Owner, the Toyota Celica.
If I could just have your attention for one moment, with me is Matt Neal, a man who won people's hearts, 2 years ago in a British Touring Car Championship, driving for a private team, and you won a race. And you won about 250 grand as well. Everybody loved you for that, didn't they?
Yeah, it's just, to be honest, it wasn't winning the money that was the thing, it was actually doing it and the crowd support and everything. It was sort of really made the hairs on the back of my arms stand up on end.
You're back in the British Touring Car Championship this year. You had a year out last year in Europe. And the fact that you won it as a private team, you've got to remember, if you don't know much about the championship, it's high-level stuff, isn't it?
Basically, the technology is the same as Formula One, but what they do is they gear the regulations, so it's a show. They want a show, they want close racing. In Formula One, if someone gets a technological edge and goes into the distance, fair play. In touring cars, they pull them back or bring the lesser guys forward, and they want close racing, they want rubbing, and they want contact.
Now, you've gone from a private team to a works team, one of the biggest. I mean, they blitzed it last year, Vauxhall. So is it a huge difference?
You've got a lot of resources behind you. I mean, as a private team, you're watching the pennies and you're trying to struggle here and struggle there, but the guys are the same. They're equally as talented. It's nice now to have the big infrastructure behind me. At Dynamics, we probably had 6 full-time guys. At Vauxhall, at Triple Eight, we've got 40 or 50 full-time guys.
You're not short of resources. Are you afraid that you won't kind of win the crowd's hearts in the way that you did with the private team because they love, well, it's basically an underdog, isn't it, when you're a smaller team?
The British public like the underdog, but I think they like the guy who gets stuck in and has a go, and I've always sort of had a reputation for getting stuck in and having a go.
It's a bit like that British Touring Car Championship, isn't it? And we're going to see a lot more of it because it's going to be on the box.
Yeah, it's on ITV this year, and it's that's a big move. It's actually filling a 1-hour slot designated programme after the Formula One.
But it's not going to get so moneyed that we'll lose the fun. It won't become as remote as Formula One. Will we still be able to get in and see in the pits and see close to it?
Well, that's what it's all about. That's what touring cars is all about. You can actually get in, talk to the drivers, touch the drivers.
Not too much, obviously. I don't get carried away.
And get their autographs, talk to them, and it's an accessible form of sport.
Well, you're here today, obviously, to meet people, to have a chat, and also to do this, which is usually you've got somebody to do this sort of thing for you. You're going to do it today, and that is change the wheels on a Caterham. This is not like your touring car. You can have a go at it, yeah?
Yeah. The pit crew normally do it in about 4 seconds. So I think we might be a little bit longer than that today.
Yeah. Well, good luck, rather you than me. And can I prove one thing? Usually, racing drivers are little dinky fellas like me. Stand up, Matt. Watch.
Nobody argues me when I get out the car.
Tallest racing driver. What are you, 6?
6.
Very tall man. Go on, change your wheel. So, Martin, why are filters so crucial in motorsport and performance cars?
Well, I'm glad you asked me that question. It's a very important question. Most people think filtration is all to do about stopping the dirt going into the engine. That is true into certain aspects. But car filtration on performance cars have got to produce a laminar airflow. Now, laminar airflow is when the undulation of the air is kept on a thinner, more denser attitude in towards the engine. And that is what improves the performance of the car.
That was fascinating. Thank you very much. That was very enlightening. Terry Grant, with me now, holder of, 11 world records? You seem like quite a sensible bloke. We've had a little chat, but the kind of driving you do is nuts. Describe some of your stunts. What do you do?
It's zany. It's all the stuff that everybody wishes they can do and can't. And I've been very, very fortunate. I fell into a really, really good job a few years ago, put in lots of hours of practice. So it's hard work. Everyone thinks I'm just mad and just go out. Yeah,
stunt drive. I mean, you do one involving this car.
I do a lot involving this and also manufacturers' cars, but mainly this. I just spin it around in circles and climb out and stand on the roof.
While it's moving?
While it's moving, of course. It's the only way, yeah.
When you were a kid, did people say, Terry, what do you want to do? I want to be a stunt driver.
Pretty much both my parents used to race when I was a kid, so I've always been around racing cars, and then skateboards was introduced into the country a good few years ago, and I was quite good on that, so I then travelled around with another group of kids. We got signed up and doing shows, and that was when I was a young lad, so I got a bit older, I got a motorbike and done stuff in that,
and now
it's
you
always
do
been
it
in
for
me.
a living. You make a living out of stunt driving.
Yeah, all around the world.
Do you never fancy, I've been looking around here today, there's loads of serious, sombre racing drivers and they're all very controlled. Do you not fancy having a crack at that?
Well, I used to race. I raced for 12 or 13 years and I was forever getting dragged up in the steward's box for doing shit. If I was, without sounding big-headed, if I was in a race and I was winning and I was quite a way in front, I'd come around the corner where the biggest crowd were and do a 360 and then carry on racing. And they dragged me into, and I was forever getting fines and told off and stuff.
Maybe lacking a certain discipline for a straight racing driver.
Just like showing off really. And you can't do it now. It's too professional racing driving now. So I'm doing it for all the racing drivers that aren't allowed to do it. They're going to get
just get that out of their system.
Yeah, so
on their behalf.
Yeah.
Everybody still loves to watch a stunt driver. We still find it exciting and thrilling. But how do you keep thrilling us? You've got to keep pushing
that's
the envelope
to
and
be
coming up
honest,
with
that's
new
the
stuff.
hardest part of the job. The doing it is fine because you can go off and practice and practice and practice and get it right. It's the thinking of the new ideas and the new tricks to do. That's the
Well,
hardest.
is it literally, oh, I've got a good idea?
I go to bed and there's always a pen and a piece of paper by my bed, and 9 times out of 10 I wake up and it always seems to be 7 minutes past 4. Don't ask me why. I roll over 7 minutes past 4, come up with an idea, write it down, go back to sleep, and then in the morning just develop it, and then we go and practice.
Well,
sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
I know that you're involved with Eddie Kidd because he's teaching you to ride bikes, so you're going to go back onto 2 wheels.
Back onto 2. Well, Eddie Kidd's a real big buddy of mine, has been since before his accident and now since obviously he's had his accident, but he's really sort of getting to grips with life again and coming back on. And I suggested that if I go and buy myself a bike, would he teach me how to jump over my cars and stuff?
So you're going to jump all
and
your
he
stuff?
wants to, yeah, I think he's got a few buses lined up, but I haven't, but he has, so we'll see.
He is sane, reasonably.
Yeah.
Terry, we wish you all the very best, and let's see some
very
more
much.
to add to those 11 world records, and thanks for chatting to us today.
Cheers, thank you.
It's mad, really.
That's it for this edition of Motor Week. Next week we're getting power hungry as we push performance cars to their limits. We'll see you then.